Welcome to the Half-Blood Report.
Here we discuss Percy Jackson news, interviews, and all things Riordan. I'm Samuel, your co-host.
And I'm Diego, your other co-host. And today on the podcast, we have a really amazing guest with us.
Nia runs Page2Page, a place to share her book reviews and poems as an escape into the magical world of reading.
She is also 11 years old. Nia, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, it's great to be here.
It's so great to have you on.
Yes, this is, you're the after Izzy, you're the first young reader to come on after us. We're having all these older podcasters on. Some of them listening right now are going to be betrayed, and I apologize to them now. It's great to, see the one who's actually reading these Rick Riordan Presents books, talking about them. And so I do wonder, how did you discover your love of reading?
Well, as long as I can remember, I've always loved reading, but as I grew older, I guess the books became a lot more interesting because more cultures were being introduced to me. And well, reading is great, but learning while you're reading is even better. And that's how my love expanded. And all genres are great, like Rick Riordan, Harry Potter, and even World War II books. I love them all. And my love for reading developed into a great love for writing because I love writing stories. I love writing poems. And my poetry is something I'm really proud of because I've gotten published quite a few times. So I guess I would say my love for reading is not just a love for like authors' words, which are great, but also a love for my own words.
That's awesome.
Fantastic answer. Kind of picking up a little bit on that genre question. Do you have any like favorite books to read? You mentioned Rick Riordan and Harry Potter. Is there any other authors or specific kind of subgenres that you particularly enjoy?
Well, yes, I love Rick Riordan Presents, but I also read a book called The Companion by Katie Allender, which really brought me into a new kind of horror kind of book, which is really interesting for me. So I guess I would say I really like that novel. And I recently also read Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds, which was an introduction into like grief, revenge, and forgiveness in verse form. So that was really interesting to read.
That's so cool.
That is very cool. I unfortunately cannot read horror. I get very scared. I'm too jumpy.
We were recording another thing earlier today, and Diego had to go like on a rant about how scared WandaVision makes him.
Yeah, it's so scary. I don't know. I get scared about a lot of things. I particularly admire you for being able to read horror books. I have tried sometimes, but I'll start the book and then like I'll turn a corner I'll walk to my room and then I'll like see something like in the corner and I'll freak out. Enough about me.
This actually going off of what your favorite books to read. This is a question from one of our patrons, Finian, who was wondering, what is your favorite book of all time? Not just like favorite genre, something you're reading now, but like favorite book of all time.
Of all time, that's a tough question, but
Oh, yeah.
I guess let's see. I love Wonder. That's a really great book, and I reread it like a million times. I like the Hunger Games series. I really can't pick, so
No, feel free to name as
Yeah.
many.
Hunger Games series. I like a lot of advanced readers copies that I get sent by Disney Books. They're really creative. Like let's see. I've read like So This Is Love. A lot of the Disney books because I guess I like Disney movies, so that's interesting to read. Like a different perspective on the Disney movie, and you're like, whoa, I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, that's something I know is we're getting a lot more of. Like they just announced the new Cruella movie and books spinning off of that.
Yeah, I've seen that kind of since we deal kind of with Disney books and like with that kind of part of it, I've seen a lot of these like new books on villains or heroes from the like classic Disney movies and kind of putting a different spin on them and giving some more of their backstory. And I've always been interested in them, but I have never actually read any.
I've read a couple. They are good. I'd recommend them to you, Diego? I know Nia, you've done reviews on some of them, and
Yes, I actually have. I can't remember the title off of the top of my head, but I've reviewed a book which is the backstory of Cruella, just like you were talking about,
Mhm.
Samuel, just a couple of seconds ago. And it's really interesting to see how authors can get their own perspectives and thoughts and ideas just based off of like one movie. And it's awesome to see how creativity can spin into that.
It's also
Yeah.
super interesting how Disney is able to use their publishing company as kind of like an experiment sort of for what they want to bring to film and television.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think you briefly touched upon it. But this is something that I was very curious about when you were holding it up in one of your Instagram posts, I believe. How did you come to get these all these copies or like these advanced reader copies from Disney Books?
So before Disney Books, I started with like small publishers before like of 2020, I guess in July, I was contacted by a couple of small publishers and I was really excited because I was like, whoa, I didn't know that I could receive books like this that were before they were published. And I started off with a couple of books. I can remember like Jayla Jumps In, and that's one that really went quite that did quite good on my page, and it was really exciting to see how people are so interested before they release, and it was nice about that. And then I got contacted by Disney Books a bit later, and that was huge for me because I'm a huge movie fanatic and I love all things Disney. So I guess it wasn't me reaching out, but if I it was them finding me in a way, if you understand that.
Yeah, that's the best when like a major company like that that you respect and you love the work of like reaches out to you. I can
Yeah, I
definitely
could.
relate in saying
Yeah,
that's
we
just awesome.
we we got we got a super awesome message like that as well. And yeah, I think it's just it's awesome to see that these big companies are kind of looking out and helping out these much smaller like
Book reviewers.
podcast and book reviewers such as us or yourself.
Yeah, I
And
would also
speak.
say backing up. I mean, like, what made you want to start page to page? One of our patrons, Magnus Chase, was more specifically like wondering, like, how did you realize that that was something like you wanted to do, making and sharing book reviews?
So at the start of the pandemic, it was like an especially gloomy time. And I thought to myself, how can I make a difference in the world right now? And I didn't start having this idea in March. It was actually when I was like younger, like 8 or 9, I had done like a few book reviews. I hadn't posted them anywhere, but the idea just came to me and I was like, why can't I take this a step further and start actually doing it? And yeah, that's how it started, and that's how I can make a tiny difference in the world and bring a lot of happiness and joy to other people by sharing my love of reading.
That's awesome.
Wow, that's that's so sweet. And kind of a bit kind of elaborating a little bit more on that question. Um, how is it that you share these things, and how do you come up with these book reviews? How do you make sure to, if it's an advanced reader copy, not to give away any spoilers? Can you tell us a little bit more about your process of creating these fantastic book reviews?
Yes. So whenever I read a book and then when I'm starting to create a review, I always recently I started to want to grab the reader's attention, not just start with a hi. I want to say, do you enjoy reading so and so? Do you like seeing this in a book? And that's how I start with the beginning of my reviews. Then the next paragraph or so is me talking about just a summary of the book. And if it's an advanced reader's copy, I don't want to give away the major conflict or big tension that happens in the book. I just want to say, introduce the characters, introduce some of the problem, but not introduce the main big happening. And then in the last paragraph, it's me commenting on the author's work and what I thought was awesome in the book and what I enjoyed. Like if it's a verse novel, I enjoyed that it was in verse. And if it was a different culture, I would say like how I enjoyed learning about that culture and what I learned from it. So that's kind of my process of creating the book review. And especially when it's an advanced reader's copy, I really don't want to give away any huge spoilers, before it comes. But I
Yeah.
just want to get my audience excited so that they're like, oh, I want to remember this book's name and pre-order it or get it when it comes out. So that's kind of my process of creating a book review.
Wow.
That's really a brilliant way to kind of have those snappy hooks to make people want to, listen to your full review, read the actual book. I'm wondering, it's kind of different because we're doing it stuff in podcast format, where we sort of can talk and ramble and rant. Well, you have this sort of quick things for Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. So I'm wondering, what strategies have you found that you're using or implementing for social media that would be different for other platforms?
Yeah, for social media, I definitely have to make it a lot shorter than I would like if I had a podcast. I could talk a lot more about the book and go into like how you do about the characters and about the conflict, the summary of the book. But in for social media, you really have to make it short and exciting. You have to make it attention grabbing, like the hooks. You have to make the audience want to listen, not just hear you droning on about it
Guilty
for a
as
minute.
charged.
You want to make it, yeah.
So, I of course you must have had a lot of books sent to you and a lot of books that you've bought. And have you ever thought about putting these all on one bookshelf and sharing this as some sort of social media post?
So I started to create a special corner for advanced readers copies, but then I started getting more and more. So I just had to create like a special place on the floor for them, which is not the most ideal place. But definitely if when I grow older or something and I don't have to keep like a lot of space for like my school books and stuff, I would love to make like a nice little bookshelf for all my books. So
Just
yeah.
get rid of all those textbooks, have your advanced readers copies on your.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a problem a lot of kids would like to have. Too many
Yeah.
advanced readers copies to keep on a bookshelf.
What keeps you motivated to, post these awesome reviews as often as you do?
So, what keeps me motivated to keep on posting is that I want to continue sharing and expand the knowledge of my audience by sharing all these different cultures, which I find is amazing that I'm able to read so many different things that I didn't know about before I read the novel. And especially, I love when I'm able to reach out and help kids who don't have access to books. Like, I recently did a couple of months ago, I did a book drive with a local organization here in Houston, which is called Birthday Bash Box. And they create like little birthday boxes for kids who don't have the money or parents who don't have the money to buy birthday boxes. And I was able to do a great book drive. And I'm still continuing to collect a lot of books. And I was able to collect at least 150 books and donate them through the organization to kids who don't have access to the books. And I thought that was just such a touching moment. And I love that. And that's why I don't want to stop page to page and continue and keep on going. And recently I'm connecting with the local library so my reviews can be shared with public schools. And that's what I find really great, that I can share and connect with so many kids, some who do have access to all the books I'm talking about and some who don't. And I can make a difference in both of their lives by talking about the books and sharing and giving them the books.
Wow,
Wow, that's
that's
amazing.
that's
That's
really awesome. And kind of this is kind of like a little follow-up question. It's not in our list of questions, but I was wondering, you must be like a community superstar. Are people
Well,
giving you high fives on the street? What's that
I guess,
like?
yeah,
COVID safe
well,
high fives.
actually,
COVID safe high fives.
yeah, COVID safe high fives. Yeah, I guess because it's really great. I got to do another book drive because I'm in NEHS still, and as the president, I was able to bring in my birthday bash box book drive, and then we could do another service project and donate a whole lot more books because there's a lot more kids. And I guess I'm not a community superstar, but I love the work I'm doing, and a lot of people congratulate me that on what I'm doing, and I feel it's nice to have a little pat on the back once in a while for being a good
Mm.
person.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
well,
I'd
I
I
send you
definitely
all the virtual pats on the back I can. You
Yeah,
yeah.
really are doing
same.
amazing work. So speaking of your amazing work, how do you balance the stuff you're doing from your book drives to page with school?
Oh, yes. School is sometimes a bit hard because I just started middle school this year, so I guess the homework load was a lot more and taking high school credits and stuff. But of course, that didn't stop me with reading. I think in the summer, my book reviews, the time and like how many I made were a lot more, but that doesn't stop me from reading because, of course, reading is a big part of my life. And I did the book drive during the school year, but that's something I did for the community. And I guess as I do homework, I also read because I read in the evenings too after I do my homework. So I guess that's kind of the balance between the two. But I guess school is not too hard as of now, so I can still have plenty of time afterwards and with like extracurriculars. I guess books doesn't really interfere with my other life, so it's a part of my life. So it doesn't really there's no need for me to for me to stop reading for like too much homework because that's it's implemented in my daily routine, I might say.
Hmm. Yeah,
Awesome.
no, that is something I wish I could say I do, but I'm always running out of time. I think we should get a Nia's schedule and time management kind of sub blog where we can get tips from you on how to manage time. That I kind of have like I don't know if this is exactly related to that, but I was wondering there's you've told us you get all these books, you're reading so many books. How do you choose which books to review and which books to not review?
That's actually a great question because all the books that I read, I don't think there's been at least like two books which really didn't catch my attention, then I don't review them. But the majority of books I read, they're really like awesome books and I want to share them. So I guess it's not too hard to differentiate, but if a book this has happened just a few times, I guess, to one or two, where I feel like the book isn't the greatest piece of writing. Even though the author's great and stuff, I feel like in my words, I
Do
won't be
tell.
able to share the love as much as I could with all of the other books.
Yeah. So, Nia, how did your interview with the fabulous Gracie Kim come about?
Yeah, so that the last one starred by the awesome Gracie Kim came as an advanced reader's copy from Disney Books, and actually, just in Disney Books arcs, they send a little slip which talks about like the the book gonna come out and a bio. And I have, of course, had many Disney books before this, but I don't think author interviews had really struck me as a thing that I needed to do until that point. And I thought, wow, I haven't done this before. There's a time and place to start. So there, I just not expecting to hear back. I emailed her just a little request for an interview, and she emailed me back saying that she'd love to, and she was so kind and nice and generous, and that she could give me her time, and we planned a date and time that would work for both of us since she lives in New Zealand, and yeah, that's how it started, and we I was able to talk to her and have a great time. So that's how I got my interview with Gracie Kim.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to like reaching out for your first interview and thinking that
Yeah,
it's going to be a hard like no or just an ignore. And then like
yeah,
it's person's like yes.
totally.
And you're like, well, I need a list of questions now. And
Yeah.
so I can definitely relate to that. And I would say anyone listening, if you want to interview an author, but really interview anyone for content you're creating,
Just
um,
ask. It
yeah,
never hurts to ask, and you might get a happy surprise that the person has. Thing that we've realized over time, and maybe you'll realize as you do more interviews, is the sort of there's a misconception that um that people that like write these awesome books or do these awesome things like don't want to talk to anybody, but that's really not the case. Like they love like being able to sit down with like a couple of eager fans such as yourself and just being able to like talk about their books that they've spent so long writing. Um and
it's cliche, but you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
and I feel like this question segues, or this topic kind of segues into another question that we had, which is you've been doing these awesome book drives, you've been posting these reviews, you've just gotten your first interview, you're getting these arcs. What's the future look like for Page to Page?
The future for Page to Page is to definitely, I want to expand to more social media, maybe have a website, and so I can reach to more kids directly. And I definitely want to partner with libraries, want to partner with schools. And yeah, I live in a county, and I talked to them, and we were able to talk about something where during the summer I would review the Lone Star list for Texas, and they share it at their, like, they have these meetings, and that's something I definitely want to do and partner with other libraries and see if it can happen the same way there too. And I also, since I did that one book drive, I want to do many more and see maybe if I can also be able to share my book reviews with underprivileged kids, just not as well just sharing the book, but if that book can be if the book is donated, maybe I can do a special review and it can be shared somehow like that. I'd have to see in the future how that work out, but that's definitely something I'm looking forward to. And of course, I'm never going to stop doing my book reviews and teaching, talking about other cultures, which is something I just love. Yes, and I definitely want to get in more author interviews in the future because it's an awesome experience,
It
and
is
they're
an
all
awesome
really nice
experience.
people.
They are super nice people.
It's great to read a book and then like just talk about it with the person who made it. That's and then it's also a really awesome thing you can share on your social media or on your podcast or on your blog. One thing, so this is, I kind of, when I was writing our question list, I really considered not asking this because I've been asked this at your age. I
I
know
have been
probably
asked this.
I think every kid has been asked this, and it's such a cliche question. This question has always angered me as a kid because it just
It
feels
did.
like the adults aren't trying to ask
It has made
creative
me
things
angry as well.
anymore. But sometimes
Mm, 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 mm.
when I meet a kid like you who's doing Page to Page, who's doing these book drives, I really do have to ask, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Oh, okay. So
Quite the build up.
this is a good question. Of course, I'd love to be an author when I grow up because writing is great. But aside from books, I would love to be a neurosurgeon or neuroscientist because I love science and medicine, just in case you were wondering. Yes.
That's awesome. I think Samuel gave the appropriate build up right there. I
Yeah.
feel
Well,
like
no. Well, are you pick? Are you going to be a neuroscientist who writes a book, or are you going to write a book about a neuroscientist?
Oh,
ooh,
probably a
ooh.
neuroscientist who writes a book because I don't think I could write a book in the future about neuroscience and things, but I feel like I'm just more into fiction at this point. I don't know because I'm still only 11 and there's a long ways to go. But I feel like I'd be a neurosurgeon or neuroscientist who writes a book for kids about culture and about like Indian culture or something like that, about a good piece of fiction. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I wish you luck with whatever career path you choose, and I wish you luck with Page to Page and
Page,
everything you're
yeah.
doing. Diego, do you
No.
have any final questions for Nia?
I believe I have one final question, and this might be one that's a bit off topic. But when you get these arcs, do they come with like other promotional materials, like cool little lollipops with like the stickers on them or other stuff?
No, they don't. They either come in like hard. Actually, funny thing is, just this is not totally related to the question, but sometimes when I didn't review Arc right away, they sent me another copy, and they were. I don't know if it was but the funny thing is, I think it was just because they sent me a hardbound copy, but they didn't send me, and it was like irony or something because they just sent me hardbound copies of the books I didn't review. So that was weird. But no, they don't come with lollipops or anything. They
Oh,
just come with bios, published dates, and the price when it is gonna be
nice.
published.
I
So wait,
mean,
so Nia, you're not gonna abuse it. You're not gonna just like wait a week to review each book so you can get a second copy.
No, no, no. Of
It's
course, when I
like
read it, I'm gonna review it. Yeah.
Okay.
exactly, exactly. That could be a great strategy for the book drives, honestly.
Yeah.
See how
No,
many
don't
weeks you
don't
could postpone a review.
stop giving these corrupt ideas. I know I started it, Diego, but I'm gonna end it. Okay. Well, it's
um,
been a real pleasure to have you on, Nia. And yes, everyone, please check Nia out, page to page. Nia, can you tell people where they can find page to page and anything you're doing?
Um, you can find Page to Page on the handle Nia's Page to Page, or if you search Page to Page on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Yeah.
cool. And
Awesome.
is there anything else you'd like to shout out to our listeners?
No, it's been a great time talking to you too.
Oh, thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
And that's it for this episode of the Half-Blood Report. It was a pleasure to talk to Nia, and there are links to her socials in the description. You can follow the show on Twitter at Half Report. You can also find us on Instagram at The Half-Blood Report, or email the show at thehalfbloodreport@gmail.com. We also have a website, thehalfbloodreport.com, and please leave a review on Apple Podcasts. We read and respond to those on our seasonal mailbag episodes. Also, I would like to give a special thank you and shout out to our patrons. Currently supporting us, we have Finian and Magnus Chase. Our patrons help keep our show going by paying for our hosting service and website. There are many special benefits you can get by becoming a patron at all the different tiers. You can read more about them and consider joining at patreon.com/join/the Half-Blood Report. And that link is also in the description. Thanks to all of you for listening. That's it, it's time for credits. Our theme music is actually by my co-host Diego, and I'm Samuel, and I do our editing. This is the Half-Blood Report podcast, the only HBR that matters. Survive. Until next week.